students from different classes and grades come together to explore issues of social justice. Our focus of this year is learning about taking actions and making a difference for our community.
Camp Aldergrove is an opportunity for educators and scholars to weave design thinking into their inquiry work through the guiding question for that year. It allows scholars to find a problem that they're passionate about, lead with empathy, take action, and share the process with an authentic audience.
Camp Aldergrove is a wonderful opportunity for our scholars to explore and discover who they are through the 6 frames of social justice.
Camp Aldergrove is all the scholars in the school get together and we do activities as a team. So in my previous years, what we did is we have groups and we were divided into different kind of groups. So there'll be a fire group, water group, or earth group. And in that group, you will be doing an activity relating to that tribe. So you'll be painting or you'll be organizing bins. So relating to earth, how friendly we should be to our environment. So that Camp Aldergrove is a way where all the students get to work together and like the older students get to be role models to the younger scholars.
So Camp Aldergrove is an opportunity for us as a school to have a common start to the beginning of the school year. We all have our regular routines in September, but we have worked to have common routines that start us off as a school. So for example, on the first day of school, we actually provide a resource that is part of the inspiration for Camp Aldergrove. As well, so for example, this past year we provided a text, a mentor text or a wisdom text to every single homeroom, a text that would connect to the guiding question as well as our inquiry work here at Aldergrove connected to social justice. So some of the themes were around Indigenous ways of knowing, social justice, as well as books that connected to our character traits or our values. So we also have posted up in the school on the first day of school a guiding question. And this past year's guiding question was, how can we make a difference in our community? On the opposite side of those posters that are throughout the school, and we have copies that are placed in every single teacher's classroom up on the board, we have success criteria connected to that. And that's the success criteria for Camp Aldergrove. So really, from the first day, we have common conversations, common resources that support our work, and we have a guiding question that really starts off the year and inspires all of our learners. So with Camp Aldergrove, we try to create experiences that our scholars can learn from, but also can reflect upon, relating to the guiding question, relating to social justice. So for example, this past year, we had our primary and our junior scholars go to the Markham Food Bank. And so before going to the food bank, right, how can we make a difference in our community? They did research around what are the items that the food bank needs, what are the items that they don't need. And we went on that trip learning about, wanting to learn more about how we can make a difference and how we can continue that learning throughout the school year. In Camp Aldergrove the year before, we had the guiding question, what does social justice mean to you? And with both of these questions, these are rich enough questions that they can continue throughout the entire school year, but they also are questions that get us off to a good start and give us opportunities for common conversations and common learning. So with Camp Aldergrove this past year, the guiding question was, how can we make a difference in our community? We wanted to start in our classroom first. So how can we make a difference in our own classroom, our own community? So before we can support the rest of the school or our broader community or the world, we need to know about ourselves. So that gave classroom teachers an opportunity to make the connections and do the work that they would normally do around building class profiles, getting to know their learners. So really that was a starting point for us. Every year with Camp Aldergrove, we also show our learning in different ways. So this past year, and Camp Aldergrove, by the way, When we started this 4 years ago, it was approximately 2 weeks long. We've expanded it to an entire month just because we wanted to be able to space out the opportunities, and also we wanted to go deeper with the learning as opposed to a mile wide but an inch deep. We wanted to go a mile deep but an inch wide. So this past year, we actually had a stay and stray. So we had students stay in class, okay, and they were prepared and trained because they'd been doing the learning as a class around how we could make a difference in our community. They actually shared with classes that visited their classroom their journey throughout Camp Aldergrove, sharing their commitment to what they were going to do to make a difference in the community. And so we had, for example, a primary class had to visit another primary class, a junior class, and an intermediate class, as well as a kindergarten classroom. So we basically had an open house within our school, and that's how we showed our learning this year. Last year, we actually asked classes to create their own definition of what social justice is, post it outside their classroom, but also to represent it in whatever way they choose. It could be through drama, it could be through media, it could be through a presentation, a slideshow, and that was shared with the entire school. So we try to make Camp Aldergrove different every single year to reflect how we're evolving as a school.
Camp Aldergrove allows each scholar the front-loading opportunity or experience in September to have different experiences with either having a chance to understand and visit a food bank and its purpose that it serves within a local community. We give scholars an opportunity to engage with a high school student and or someone who's in college or university and see how they're embedding social action into either what they're studying or what they pursue in terms of their co-curricular activities. And finally, it also allowed some of our scholars an opportunity to understand the work that we're doing with Truth and Reconciliation here at Aldergrove, with understanding the Indigenous communities.
Different kinds of pictures of activists. An activist is somebody that fights for change.
it say?
It says give the money to homeless people. People in the hospital. People in nursing home.
What's that you have?
A book.
Who wrote it?
We did
What did you write it for?
for the therapy dogs, and it's called Jason and the therapy dogs.
We went on a cool trip to the 3M building in Milton, Ontario for the Eco League Youth Forum.
That's where we learned about the benefits of a plant-based diet for our own health and the environment.
Got to make smooth.
We thought it would be so cool to have our school community learn about vegetarian food and how it impacts the environment.
But most of us didn't know enough about making vegetarian food, and if we didn't know enough, then maybe other people feel the same way too.
So we talked to our teachers, Miss Call, who is also vegetarian, and Miss Luck, who also loves to cook.
And we decided to start a cooking club after school in the staff room kitchen.
We made nachos and parfaits and pasta and baked apples and soup.
A lot of happy bellies.
We learned new recipes and techniques. We even had to learn how to clean up.
We learned how to eat healthy on a tight budget.
How to help the environment at the same time.
And then we got to present at a huge eco fair called Building Nature Connection at Robert Reed Public School. We were very popular because we had yummy food samples.
Aldergrove's eco team did it again, solving problems with style.
When we start off at the beginning of the year with Camp Aldergrove, the staff engages in, the entire school staff engages in a collaboration in creating those guiding questions that drive their entire school year and school planning. And so with Camp Aldergrove, when we start the year off, grade teams who have connected with each other and have created a guiding question to lead them in critical thinking about how they can, for example, create change in their community, as was done this year. What happens inside those classrooms is that the students also take on that collaborative role and focus on communicating and the critical thinking aspect of, well, for example, what is our land acknowledgement and why do we have to hear that? And so pulling apart the learning that comes with that through partner work, group work, collaborative thinking and sharing, rich conversation and learning happens because of the environment that is created by the teacher, by the school, simply by the idea of Camp Aldergrove and collaborating on guiding questions that are meaningful and that extend outside the school walls when it comes to impacting the community around us.
When we think about our school improvement plan as it relates to our board's school improvement plan, one of the pillars is mental health. Mental health helps us to think about our students, who they are, their identities, and how we can provide ways for those identities to shine through to help support the social and emotional learning of students in our schools.
Camp Aldergrove, is a really great starting point for our school. It gives us an opportunity connected to our mental health, BIPSA, and our CIPSA goal, in building relationships and creating class profiles, which is something that we've really focused on this year. And so during Camp Aldergrove, it gives our staff a really great opportunity to get to know our learners, to get to know their strengths, to be able to support them throughout the year, but also to get to know them on a deeper level, where many of our classes, as part of how can we make a difference in our community, started with their classrooms talking about identity connected to social justice. And in terms of math, the focus during Camp Aldergrove was not really focused on math, but again, the question is rich enough that math experiences can flow out of that question throughout the year as the learning progresses. So with modern learning, of course, inquiry, right? This is, teaching through a guiding question is a spark for inquiry. And of course, critical thinking, assessment, and collaboration were part of the work of Camp Aldergrove, and again was a great starting point for the planning of our staff for their classes. For equity, really it gave us an opportunity to learn about our most marginalized learners and their lived experiences. Having students explore identity and have them have a chance to have a focus on social justice, moving towards action, which was really the goal of Camp Aldergrove this past year, was to enable our scholars to move towards action. Innovation. I think it's really important. We are very set in the way that our school year happens, and to disrupt that a bit, and to really kind of be creative with scheduling and with the school year, and to move things around a bit gives us an opportunity to see schooling in a different way, and for our students and our scholars to experience school in a different way. So I think that that's an important learning for our staff and for our community. And with leadership, it didn't happen this past year, but the year before, we actually trained intermediate scholars to do lessons connected to what does social justice mean to me. And they actually went into primary classes, these are grade 7 and 8 scholars. They went in, they delivered the lesson, and with the classroom teacher there to be able to support, again, for common messaging, but also what was amazing that came out of that, and it was a great start to the school year, and that the intermediate students said, this is hard, right? And then we were able to build their own skills to help them facilitate with other opportunities that they had later in the year.